So because we're not meeting for the next few weeks, and Elul begins on August 8th, I thought I would lead us a class in honor of the beginning of Elul, even though we're a few days early. So we're going to start with just a nigun for our chant later at the end of class. So just get settled, find your seat, take a few cleansing breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. Let your shoulders drop with every exhale. I invite you to bring your hands over your heart. And just imagine that these hands, the fingertips are touching, so they're not on top of each other. Fingers are touching or interlaced slightly. And just imagine these hands as the gates to light. The gates to light. And as you breathe in, you're going to open your gates. Let in light. And as you breathe out, you'll start to close the gates and exhale any darkness, anything that feels heavy, press it all out as you close the gates. Inhaling, open the gates of your heart, and exhale, close the gates, press out, let go of anything that feels like darkness to you right now. Continue with this. Breathing in as you open the gates, letting in light, love, forgiveness, peace, whatever feels like light to you. Exhaling as you close the gates, releasing, letting go of anything that feels like darkness or heaviness to you that you're ready to release. We'll take a couple more rounds. can let your hands rest on your chest or on your body, maybe on your lap, and just breathe naturally. Notice how you feel. This reading is from a book called Opening Your Heart with Psalm 27, a traditional psalm to read during the month of Elul, which we're doing a little early. The psalm is verse 1, called Just 5 Minutes of Light. In English of David, Adonai is my light and my victory. From whom should I feel fright? Adonai is the stronghold of my life. From whom should I feel terror? Could it be that even King David, considered the author of 150 glowing psalms, had a rough start to finding the light? The rabbis imagined the words he spoke as the light began to glow in each psalm. When I start studying words of Torah, even as I barely begin to touch them, they give forth light. And as I go deeper into Torah, then many gates of light open to me. Start. Just 5 minutes. The light will grow to illuminate my path. Read in daylight, under lamplight, even by candlelight. Coax the holiness out of every word. Just 5 minutes. Write to let the light expand as insight shines forth. The heart warms. Just 5 minutes. Sit as each fragment awakens an image that inspires, a memory that pierces, a smell that comforts, an emotion that unsettles, a faith that grows, a gate that opens. Just 5 minutes. This is the season of gates, and I stand at a threshold. Just 5 minutes before the gates close, with the work unfinished, my soul still in darkness. Just 5 minutes in the light of the psalm. So the author, Rabbi Debra J. Robbins, she's inviting us in this piece to take 5 minutes every day to reflect, to read something spiritual, to let the light of the words on the page illumine our souls, to illumine our minds, to bring something new, a new sense of awareness, clarity, wisdom. And 5 minutes is really powerful, even if it's just breathing and imagining those gates of the heart opening and closing. So our practice together online or together however we are is not until August 31st. So between now and then, and during the month of Elul, I invite you to take 5 minutes to reflect in whatever way that is for you. To take 5 minutes in the light, even if it's just letting your face be in the morning light. And our practice today, let's invite light, let's invite our own inner wisdom to shine through the wisdom of our bodies. Let's go ahead and come to our back. And for that, we're going to want our block nearby and our strap. And we're going to just start with some gentle twists, stretching out the lower back, hug the knees in, just taking some inventory about how your back is feeling. And as we come into our first twist, I'm going to invite you to take the block between your knees and then bring your feet to the floor and scoot your hips over to the right a few inches and then place them back down, and then let your knees fall to the left. So we're just taking a very gentle twist, nothing that's going to torque the back too much here in the first beginning of our practice. Your arms can be out to the side. or even overhead, you know, you can breathe into the underarms and chest area. Just take some deep breaths here. As you breathe in, feel the right side of your waist and rib cage really open and expand. Fill it from the inside with light. And then exhale, let go of anything that feels stuck there. Good. You can start to bring that top knee up first so we don't lift both of those knees at the same time. And then bring your feet to the floor. Scoot your hips over to the left a few inches. And then take the block, put it back between your knees or thighs. Take your twist over to the right with your arms wherever feels good for you today. Let your inhale expand the tissues of your waist and rib cage. Let your exhale help you to release. Let the weight of your legs go into your mat. Good. Go ahead and lift your top knee, followed by the bottom knee, and just straighten out your hips now. Hug your knees into your chest. You can put your block to the side just for a moment. Squeeze your knees into your chest, and then use your hands to open up the knees, and then bring the knees back together. So you're just using your hands to help guide those knees into big, wide circles. So going one direction, so the knees go out, and then away from the body a little bit, back in. Squeeze them back in. And just feel the lubrication in the hip joints with a little assistance from your hands. Especially when you bring your knees in close, you can give them an extra squeeze and kind of pull down as you open the knees, so you're creating compression there. And then pause at center and then reverse your circles, opening, bringing them close in. Couple more times. Moving nice and slow. Good, that looks good. Good, we're gonna pause at the center, bring your feet to the floor, knees are still bent. We're going to take our block now and scoop it up underneath the sacrum, coming into a supported bridge. And then when you've got that block feeling stable, you can bring one leg at a time up toward the sky. And just do some ankle rotations here. Just say good morning to those ankles. Let them make whatever sounds they want to make. Toes might be popping and crackling. Get some really big circles into those ankles. See if you can spread out your toes a little bit. Try to wiggle the toes. Good. Now, being mindful of your core here, I want you to open up your legs into a V shape until you feel an inner thigh stretch. And then mindfully activate those inner thighs to bring them back together. So just doing that over and over, just opening the thighs till you feel a stretch. And then as you exhale, I want you to pull the belly in and squeeze the inner thighs together. You might even imagine that there's like a little rubber band that pulls the legs toward each other, or even there's magnets on your inner thighs. So that really gets you to bring a lot of mindfulness to these adductors, which are part of your core and really important to have these strong to keep a healthy back. Good. Pause with your legs straight up. This is where we're going to activate our psoas, and then we're going to stretch our psoas. So you want to have your belly pulled in, and then start to lower the left leg just until you feel comfortable. So I don't want you to do anything that hurts your back. Good. And then lift it back up. And then just change sides. You're going to lower the other leg. Some of you might come down close to the floor and then back up. And some of you might come down a little less, or you might even have your knee bent a bit. Everything is just fine. You want to keep your core engaged. If you touch your abdominal area, you might even feel that activated underneath you. And know that you're activating and warming up the hip flexors here too, because you're moving these legs. Let's do a couple more on each side. Good. Legs are up above the head now. I'd like you to bend your knees, bring them close to your chest or face, and then slowly lower one foot at a time back to the floor. And you'll pause here. If you need to readjust your block or anything, go ahead and do that. So we're back in our supported bridge. You can stay just like this, or you can go into a deeper hip flexor stretch, which we've done in class before. So we're gonna keep the right knee bent with the foot on the floor, and just slide your left leg out and out to the end of your mat. So your ankle and your heel are on the floor, and your left foot is flexed. So that gets us right into the hip flexor, deep into those oblique areas. And press your heel into the floor and squeeze your quad, so that thigh muscle. So that's really going to help release the psoas. We haven't done this one in a while, so it might feel a little tight, and especially if you've been sitting a lot or driving a lot. You can also reach the left arm up overhead if that feels like a nice progression to the stretch, but just an idea. Nothing here is an obligation. Breathe. Keep your foot active though, so keep those left toes pointed up and the thigh actively squeezing. Try some belly breaths here, so try to inflate that lower belly area with the inhale, which is going to help create some length and stretch in the psoas. So with these stretches, especially with muscles that tend to be chronically tight, you want to hold them at least 30 seconds, if not longer. Good. So we're going to slide the left foot back to meet the right foot. Maybe bring that left arm back down if you had it up. And we'll change sides. So just slide that right leg down. Heel is touching the mat. Toes are pointed straight up. Squeeze the thigh and maybe reach the right arm overhead. Mindful breath here. Use your breath to breathe a sense of light and expansion into these darker, tighter places. Let's take 2 more breaths in this stretch. And then when you're ready, slide the foot back and pause in your supported bridge. And then just tuck your tailbone just a little bit, squeeze your glutes and press into your feet to slide that block out nice and slow. And then go ahead and hug your knees into your chest again. Do a couple more circles, whatever feels like a good release for you. And then we'll use our straps. So let's have the strap around the bottom of the right foot. Left knee can be bent or straight. And slide your shoulders down away from your ears and really flex that foot. So I want you to imagine you could touch the sky or touch the ceiling with your heel, and even wrap those straps around your hand if you want, so that you're not gripping, but they're just kind of naturally holding on. And we'll start with our internal and external rotation of the leg. So that's just a little turn inward and outward. Think of your heel as a key, and then the imaginary keyhole is right. It's right inside of an imaginary keyhole. You're just going to turn a little bit in each direction. And feel that stirring deep in the hip socket. Good. And then just start to use those straps just to help you make some smaller circles with your heel. Go nice and slow. Yes, good. The next time your leg starts to cross over your body a bit and you feel an outer hip stretch, I'd like you to pause there, reflex your foot even more, and breathe into that stretch to the outer edge of your leg. Good. Go ahead and reverse your circle. So whatever direction you were going before, just make some circles the other direction. Good. And then go ahead and take your strap off your foot, and then just bring your right foot inside of your left thigh. So it's like a tree pose, but you're lying down. And if you want to use your block under your right knee, just for a little extra support, you can. Or you can just let your knee have just no support underneath it. Just let your foot press into your left leg, and then bring your arms up overhead. And just get a really gentle inner thigh stretch here. Good. You can help that knee back to center if you'd like to, or just bring it back. And then straighten that leg. So we've got both legs straight now, and just compare sides. And then we'll change. Bring the strap around the left. Wrap those straps around your hand to give you a little extra support, and see if you can keep those elbows on the floor though, so that you're not reaching up with the arms. And then flex the left foot and get into that hamstring. Start to do your internal and external rotations, keyhole turns here. Notice if this side feels the same as the other side. Is one more mobile than the other? Feel that movement originating from deep in your hip socket and just traveling through the upper leg bone and lower leg bones to make that foot move. Good. And then just start to do some circles. Remember which direction you're going. And the circles don't have to be big. You can pause in any places that feel tight. And then next time your leg starts to cross over the body toward the right, you can pause there, reflex that foot, really reach through your heel, and breathe into the side of the leg. And start to make circles going the other direction now. A couple more times. Good. And then go ahead and take the strap off the foot and come into your supine tree pose. So supine just meaning laying on your back. When I was in massage therapy school, I started to remember it because supine meant you were laying on your spine, and it kind of rhymes. So supine on your spine, left foot pressing into the right thigh, either with a block underneath that left knee or not. And then maybe lifting your arms up overhead or whatever feels comfortable for you. Just breathe into that inner thigh on the left side. And then bring the knee back to center and go ahead and straighten that leg out to meet the right leg. Both legs are on the floor. And just notice how they feel right now. And then when you're ready, go ahead and roll to your side and press yourself up. We'll move through some cat and cows. Supporting your wrists any way that you need to. If the palms flat is a little troublesome for your wrist joints, you can use your knuckles or fingertips. And just rounding the back. And then inhaling, so think of the gates opening as you look up and reach back with the sits bones. Exhaling, closing the gates. Exhaling, releasing anything that you are done with. Inhaling to open and receive. Exhaling to release. You might find that you naturally start to move in some different ways with your hips or your ribs. Go ahead and take some free flow movement here. And then we'll come into kind of I don't even know what to call this, it's like a swimming tabletop. So we're going to keep our hands where they are, knees where they are. You're going to inhale and reach forward. Exhale, sweep the arm back and down. Inhale, reach forward. Keep your belly pulled in. Exhale, back and down. So just keeping the core pulled in. And this is warming up the shoulders. So if you have any tight shoulders or challenges, you can keep the movement really small. It actually helps to hold the shoulder and do it that way. So do what feels good for you. We're working the shoulder, just warming up the girdle. Good. We're going to do one more. Exhaling. This time we're going to come back to center and just scoop that right arm under the left and take what is it called? A floating needle. That is not what it's called. We're going to thread the needle and stretch the left arm out in front of you and press the back of your right arm into your mat and kind of lean away from it just a tiny bit. Keep your belly pulled in. So we're stretching the space behind the heart and the deltoids, the shoulder muscles. Big breath. So really stretch the rib cage here. Good. So bring the left hand close to you so you can press it back up. We're going to do our swimming tabletop on the other side. You're going to inhale, reach the left arm forward. Exhale as you scoop it back. So you're rocking forward and back on your knees. Pull the belly in. Last time. Come to center and scoop that left arm under the right. Thread the needle on this side. Good, draw that right hand closer to you, press into those hands. We're going to do something to strengthen the serratus muscles, which line up around your rib cage. And if these are weak, we end up with a forward shoulder, front, like chin forward posture. So we want to strengthen these muscles. We'll do that with our sternum drops. So if your wrists are tired, you can come onto your knuckles or fingertips. So think of a flat tabletop position, right? So don't sag. We're not doing cat-cow. It's a flat table. And that's all going to stay. The pelvis will stay just as it is. And then I want you to keep the arms straight and just start to bring the shoulder blades toward each other. So the breastbone or the chest is going to sink down toward the floor. You're going to squeeze those shoulder blades together. And then you'll press into the mat and spread the shoulder blades apart. And then sink, keep the elbows straight, and press, spread them apart. So as you sink down, imagine you're holding a popsicle stick or holding it between your shoulder blades. And as you press up, you can imagine that you've got like a suitcase handle between your shoulder blades and you're being lifted up. Couple more. Good. And then just take a child's pose. Knees can be wide or narrow, it's your choice, and let your head rest on the floor. Take a really big breath in and let out an audible sound, just whatever your body needs to let out right now. Take a couple of audible sighs. Good, and we're going to come on up. We will come to standing with the blocks nearby. So have them so that you can do a forward fold and touch them if you need them. We'll have our massage ball. And let's just give a little love to our feet. Start with that right foot. Make sure you pause any place that feels tight and sore and just give a little extra attention there. Give a little extra attention today to the inner arch of the foot. The whole length of it from the ball of the underneath the big toe all the way down to where the heel starts. Just get into all those reflex points that coincide with your spinal column and all of the organs that are innervated by those nerves. Good, and then go ahead and change sides. Get into the inner arch. And a few more passes over that left foot. Great. Go ahead and move the ball off your mat. Come to a mountain pose with your feet hip width apart. Blocks maybe are going to be right near your feet if you want some place to land in your forward fold. We're going to inhale and reach up. Exhale, do a swan dive forward with a flat back. Let yourself hang, let your hands land somewhere. Release your head and let your knees be as bent as they need to be. So no need to try to force straight legs here. Take the pressure off your back by letting your chest rest on your thighs or near your thighs and just release and breathe. And then pull the belly in, start to look up and slide your hands up halfway, nice flat back, and then reach the arms out to the sides and hands to your heart. We'll do one more of those. We'll add on a little bit. Inhale, reach. Big breaths. Exhale, dive forward, release your head, let your knees bend. And then maybe just alternating, bending the knee and straightening the other knee a little bit. So like you're walking in place, and just pause and take a breath each time. Just get a little extra stretch in the back of the straighter leg. Release your jaw, like stretch out your mouth. Take the second side if you haven't, just a little extra stretch in the back leg by just walking in place. Good. Come back to center with your knees equally bent or straight and start to look up, slide up, reverse your swan dive, reach, and hands to your heart. Beautiful. We're going to reach up again and clasp the hands, and then reverse, just flip your hands so that your palms are facing the ceiling. So you keep your hands clasped, but you just press, stretch out those fingers. Good. Shrug your shoulders up and then drop them down. Good, good. And then bring your legs together so you can create a nice stable support, and just lean over to one side with your belly pulled in. Good. Come back to center, take a breath. Exhale over to the other side. Good. Belly's engaged as you rise back up. Release your hands, release your wrists, just let everything shake out. You can stand naturally. We'll go right into our 3 thumps, so just tapping underneath those collarbones. Remember to do this every day, maybe a couple times a day. Right under the collarbones, now the center of the chest. Let's wake up the thymus and let a nice big ah with a smile if you feel like it. Ah, good. And now knocking on the ribs or massaging, get into those ribs. Tapping, waking up the spleen meridian. Good. And then just shake it out. Okay. So we'll go through some standing poses. We're going to start with, make sure you have both of your blocks at the top of your mat on the high setting, just nearby. And we're going to start with our left foot forward. We're going to come into a warrior 2 pose. So bend the left knee, make sure the heel of the left foot is somewhat lined up with the arch of the back foot. And in warrior 2 today, we're going to have our palms up so that we can really open up the shoulders, open up the heart, and drop those elbows. Just soften them and feel like you're kind of dropping them toward the floor a bit. So the arms are straight, but there's a little softness to them. Breathe, gaze over your left palm. And then you'll straighten the front knee and straighten both arms and reach up. You might even gaze up. And then exhale, come back into your open palm, warrior 2. And straighten, gaze up. And exhale, open palm, warrior 2. Good. Again, straighten, think of sending prayers up and out. And as you come into warrior 2, just receiving the answers to your questions, the answers to your intentions and prayers. Do that a couple more times. Good, settle in warrior 2. And then we'll take a side angle. So just let that left arm drop to the inner thigh, right arm is up or at an angle. Press your hips forward like you could touch a wall in front of you, so that keeps your buns from sticking out behind you. Pull the belly in. Good. Now, listen carefully. This is a little bit of a transition. So look at your blocks, and you want to protect your lower back with this. So I want you to look at your blocks and start to come up a little bit, just enough to come onto the toes of your back foot. So do that pivot onto the toes of your back foot and then hold on to those blocks. You're coming right into a nice lunge here. Move the blocks as you need to so they feel like an extension of your arms, not like you're not reaching way out. You want them underneath your shoulders. And then just press your heel back so that you feel a calf stretch. Engage your belly. Good. Now, this is where if you wanted a chair, because maybe the blocks maybe won't feel like they're high enough for you, all we're going to do is straighten the front leg just as much as we can till you feel a stretch and press into the back heel and hinge forward. So we're coming into a pyramid pose. So for some of you, now that you've started it, maybe you'll realize you want a chair. A chair seat might be nice because you can hold on a little higher as you come forward. Come back into a lunge, so bend the front knee. Activate that back leg, really get a nice stretch in that psoas that we were working with earlier in the class. Breathe, and then straighten the front leg, back leg stays straight. Good. And now bend the front knee. I usually just kind of pull that back leg or the front leg back a bit to get it underneath me a little better, and then step the back leg forward and just take a forward fold here. Let it go. Good, and we're gonna take the second side. So right foot is our lead foot for warrior two. Blocks are on either side of the front foot. Palms up in a receptive warrior two. Draw the tips of your shoulder blades toward each other. Good. And then straighten the front leg and straighten both arms, reach up, send your prayers up, send your intentions out into the world, and then come into receiving warrior two. Move through this a few times on your own. Pausing in your warrior two, and then right arm comes inside that front leg, left arm lands either up or over the head. Engage your core, press your hips forward. And breathe. Feel your strength, feel the stability in this pose. Good, now keep your core pulled in, gaze down at your blocks, that's where you're headed. Come up just a little bit so you don't tweak your back, and then rotate your waist. Come to the toes of the back leg, good. And then adjust so that you've got your blocks there underneath you. And shimmy around till you find your lunge. So it's gonna be a little different for everyone. Breathe here. Modify as you need to, take good care of your body. And then straighten the front leg until you feel a stretch and press through that back heel. And just as slow as you want to move through this, go from your lunge into your pyramid pose. Good, last time in our lunge. Re-engage your core and start to bring the front leg back, maybe the back leg forward, so you can come into your forward fold again. Let it all go. All right, so engage your core before you come up with a flat back. Good, and we're going to stand long ways on the mat and open the legs nice and wide. Keep your blocks nearby. So you're standing with the legs wide for a squat. So your knees are tracking over the second and third toes, and your toes are pointed out to about 10 and 2 if you're standing on a clock face. So just rock from side to side and feel your feet really connected, all the edges, all the parts of your feet connected to your mat. And then come into star pose. So open up those arms, palms face forward. Good. Feel the expansiveness of this shape. This is the season of gates, and I am at the threshold. Start to bend your knees more. Exhale as you bring your hands towards your heart like we did earlier. Closing the gate. And then straighten the legs. Inhale, open. Exhale. Releasing any darkness, anything that feels like darkness for you, letting it go. And then inhale, open the gates. Let in whatever feels like light to you. Move through this embodied intention. What are you opening the gates for? And what are you releasing? Let your hands settle over your heart. Turn your toes. Keep your feet wide, but turn your toes in so they're facing forward. Bring your hands to your hips and start to hinge forward into Prasarita Padottanasana. So finding you can be halfway down using the blocks as support, or you can come all the way down into a full forward fold here, letting everything go. Remember to activate your quads so that your knees, you don't hyperextend through your knees, and you get a better, deeper stretch in the hamstrings. And breathe. We're going to press into our hands so that we can start to come up and heel toe those feet together until you feel like you can come up safely for your lower back. Good. And then just step your feet together and stand in mountain pose with those palms slightly forward, feeling the stability of your stance. So really feel the space that you inhabit right now, the sacred space of your mat, of your home, of your outdoor space, wherever you are. Feel yourself fully inhabiting this space with strength, with fortitude, with courage, as you prepare to approach the gates over the next 30 plus days. As you prepare to leave a year behind and enter a new year, as you prepare to do a little more self-exploration to prepare you. And then let yourself just float down toward the mat here on your seat. So for our final hip opener, you have 3 options. So we're going to do pigeon or 2 other variations of pigeon. So most of you, I think, have done this class before. You know that the figure 4 stretch on your back is a great variation if you have lower back pain or chronic knee issues. In between the actual pigeon, which can be more intense and some people love it, in between the pigeon and the figure 4 stretch is the seated figure 4 stretch. And the difference between those is that you have more control over creating a more deeper stretch because you can move your legs around and use your hands to prop you up and guide you into a deeper stretch. So I'm just doing this now as a demo. Choose which shape you're going to take. If you're in the seated version, press into that mat and open up your heart. So try not to sag into your shoulders. Keep everything active. Your right foot's going to be flexed if you are starting with that right side. Check in with your jaw. So jaw and hip tension tend to go hand in hand. So see if there's any tension you can let go in the jaw. Just take 3 more breaths, whatever asana you chose. Good, we're going to slowly come out of this side and take the second side. Let's take 3 more breaths. Good, and then like if you're on your back, you can remain there. If you're doing a traditional pigeon pose, or what I was doing, the seated version, you can just return to your back. And just take a minute to see if there's anything you need before you release into Shavasana. So maybe that'll be a final twist or another legs up pose. So just taking a few minutes to really listen to your body, to prepare yourself to open those gates to deep relaxation. And when you hear the bell, that will be your invitation to start to move towards stillness. Invite your body to release any effort, to really surrender to gravity. Imagine a warm, soft wave of deep relaxation just beginning to wash over top of your head and face, down through your neck and your shoulders, through your arms, through your palms and all of your fingers. And with your next deep breath, let a new soft wave wash down through your chest and your back, washing around your heart and your lungs and all of your organs and your belly, softening and relaxing, washing through your hips, spending extra time washing around and bringing light into any places of chronic pain. Let that warm wave of deep relaxation bring healing to those places. Down through your legs, your knees, your lower legs and ankles. Feeling that warm wave washing through the feet and the toes. Like a blanket of peace. Adonai li velo yira. Adonai li velo yira. Velo yira. Velo yira. I release all fear. I release all fear. I release all fear. And I live in love. And I live in love. I release all fear. I release all fear. I release all fear. And I live in love. And I live in love. Adonai is my light and my victory. From whom should I feel fright? Adonai is the stronghold of my life. From whom should I feel terror? This is the season of gates, and I stand at a threshold. Just 5 minutes in the light of the psalm. Adonai li velo yira. Adonai li velo yira. Velo yira. I release all fear. I release all fear. I release all fear. And I live in love. 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 I invite you to bring your hands to your body, somewhere that feels connecting for you. Take a breath in, imagine the gates of your heart opening and invite in some aspect of light, whatever you want to call it. And as you breathe out, let go, if you're ready, something that you don't need anymore. And then take all the time you need to turn to your side and take a few breaths there in a fetal position before you rise up to a seated position. With your hands at your heart in prayer or Anjali Mudra. And we will close our practice today with our loving kindness prayer. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be free. May all beings be loved. May all beings have peace. May it be so. Ken Yehi Ratzon. Shalom.